right, this is the April 24th makeup screencast for those of you who were not here. And what I want you to know is that we did a lot of stuff today, a lot. And so it's going to be difficult for me to go over everything that we did. Essentially, we finished up the debates on was Jackson Democratic or not, and each group entered their response and their evidence, which we will then discuss tomorrow very, very quickly. The other thing that we did was we looked at this quote that you'll see here on the screen, and it should be attached to the Edmodo makeup post, and you'll need to either print out this quote or you will need to get a hard copy from me. You'll need it for the test on Friday. But what we found out through this quote is that Andrew Jackson is a complicated guy. This quote is from James Parton. James Parton was a biographer in the 1860s, and he tried to write a biography on Andrew Jackson. And you'll see if you look, he talks about why he had trouble writing the biography on Andrew Jackson. And he shows that Andrew Jackson is a contradiction. He was a patriot and a traitor. It says here he was a most law-defying, law-obeying citizen. So, he chose to defy the law, but then at the same time obey it. He was a stickler for discipline. He never hesitated to disobey his superior. So, Andrew Jackson is a contradiction. And so we discussed, why is that? And then we also discussed, did you see in the evidence contradiction, which caused a lot of people to talk about, like, the Trail of Tears and the fact that he tried to move all these Indians, and that he talked about that they were so uncivilized, yet at the same time he adopted a Native American little kid and, had him in his family. So, it's like, which is it? Which Andrew Jackson are you? And so then we talked about his childhood and him losing his parents and having to take care of himself. And maybe that's why he's so willing to kind of change who he is to make people happy and get what he wants. And that he's also a politician, and so sometimes you've got to change who you are. You don't have to, but sometimes politicians choose to change who they are so that they get votes. So it was just a big discussion about, why is he this way? Why is he essentially two-faced? Or why does he flip-flop? Why does he appear to be so hypocritical? And so it may be politically charged and motivated. It may be just because that's what he had to do growing up. And so he does it as an adult as well. So a big discussion about that, and an important quote that will probably have a question about it on the test. So you're definitely going to want to be sure that you print out this quote or get the hard copy from me. And the quote is going to be attached to the Edmodo post. If it isn't already, I'll go ahead and add it here in a minute because I can't remember if it is or it isn't. The next thing that we did was we took notes. We started a new set. This is our last set for the test. It's events leading to Civil War. These notes are attached to the makeup post on Edmodo, and then it also has its own standalone post with these notes attached to it. So I'm going to go through, we only did like 3 or 4 slides in each class, the first 3 or 4. So I'm going to go through and tell you some things that you're going to need to be sure and write down that you can't get just off of the notes alone. And you'll want these because I'll ask about some of these things on the test that I'm sharing out loud with you here. Okay, on this slide, you will see that there are like 4 presidents shown. Andrew Jackson is president number 7. Okay, and I'm going to take this stuff off. Sorry about that. Okay. And let's see if I can get it to come. There we go. All right, I need to be able to write on this. Andrew Jackson is president number 7. And then on this slide, what you see here is we've got several other presidents listed after number 7. So I'm going to get a different color of pen here. Okay. All right. So we've got president number 8, Martin Van Buren. So you need to be sure and write him down. Number 8, Martin Van Buren. He is really a worthless president. There's really not much else to say about him. So you're going to want to get down just essentially the word worthless. Number 9, William Henry Harrison. He, if you remember, fought at the Battle of Tippecanoe and won. But he gets to be president, walks out, gives his inauguration speech, gives it in the rain, gets pneumonia, and dies. So, as a result, his vice president, John Tyler, takes over. So John Tyler is the 10th president. John Tyler is known as His Accidency. So that should tell you right there that people didn't really like him. He was viewed as an accident. He wasn't really wanted in the position. He is also the first president to have an impeachment resolution started against him. And if you don't know what impeachment is, that is essentially when you tried to get rid of the president. So he was so not liked that they literally tried to kick him out of office. But it didn't work. Number 11 is James K. Polk. And really, of these four guys, he is the most effective and probably most successful president on the slide. He essentially helps our nation expand. After his presidency, the United States stretches from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. It goes the entire span of the continent from east to west. So he is a very important guy, and we will talk about him more, and we will talk about him tomorrow, really. So we'll get to him here in a bit. So let me go ahead and erase this, and we'll go on to the next slide. The next slide is about Texas seeking independence from Mexico. We're talking about this because eventually Texas will become a state and will eventually be admitted to the Union. So you need to kind of know why and how that comes to be. And the only way you can find that out is to have this story told to you. So if you recall, we've got Martin Van Buren here, number 8. While he is in office, this event occurs here. And what happens is there are a lot of Americans that move. There are a lot of Americans that move to Mexican territory, and that territory is known as Texas. The Mexicans pronounce it Tejas. And they go there to grow cotton. You can grow cotton cheaply down there in Mexico, and you can get a greater profit. And so when these Americans moved, they had to pledge allegiance to Mexico and renounce their American citizenship. So they actually are no longer American citizens. Now the problem is that the man ruling Mexico at the time is Santa Anna, and Santa Anna is known as the Napoleon of the West. And he's not nice, okay? I mean, he is not pleasant to deal with. So these Americans who have moved to Mexico and renounced their citizenship and become Mexicans, they get really sick and tired of dealing with this guy. And so they decide, hey, why don't we just try to get our independence from Mexico? So, in March 1836, they fight Santa Anna at the Alamo, which is this spot right here, okay? They lose. Santa Anna comes in. He kills all of the Texans that are left over in the Alamo and kills them all by execution via firing squad. And then there's another battle. Battle of San Jacinto, April 1836, and there the Texans win, and they take Santa Anna prisoner, and they torture him, and they force him into signing over Texas as an independent nation. So, from 1836 to 1845, Texas is a country, not a state, a country, all on its own, and does not get admitted to the Union until 1845. Alright, for most classes, that's as far as we got. A few classes got started on this next slide that I'm about to show you, but we really didn't talk about it very much, so in terms of you missing out on talking and some of the things being shared that are not on the slide, you're going to get that if you're in class tomorrow, and I wouldn't worry about it. So mainly you just need to get this slide copied, and you can get that off of the Edmodo post. So, that is what you missed today. Do not forget that you have a test on Friday. We are going to take notes tomorrow, go to the library, and then I'm going to hand you a study guide. There's not going to be an assignment for the study guide. I'm just going to kind of tell you what to study. So, that's it.